Bernie.
Okay, kick this off. I'm going to try to avoid using a microphone as long as possible. I imagine most of the audience would be here now. If it's difficult to hear me, just let me know and I'll either speak louder or go to the microphone. I'm Bernie Clem. I'm the chief coach of Area P, and I'm going to run an informal workshop this morning. I just want to start off by saying we're going to get the important things out of the way first. All the results, everything that's happened, we'll get out of the way first. Then if you find that it's not to your interest, you can go off to some other seminar. We'll try to make it convenient for you. The first thing I want to say is AYSO clinics, coaching clinics, are the best. Nothing comes close. There are club clinics. AYSO is the best for our children. And what I'm going to do is go into some of the details, summaries and details of how we've adapted the standard beginning AYSO clinics to the particular needs of Area P, Western Los Angeles. There are indications that not all areas or regions have the same needs and requirements. What we want to use this presentation is an example of how regions should go to the best we have and then modify it to meet the needs of their community. To relax, don't have to worry about taking notes. The format presentation is going to be view graphs, which can be made available to you on a sign-up list, and there'll also be a copy of the coaching manual that we used in the clinic. That can be made available. We haven't worked the logistics of how we're going to charge, reproduction, mailing, but we're going to work that out. But there's a place for you to sign up in the rear. So today's presentation will consist of what our objectives in the clinic were. What distinguished this clinic from other clinics, the features. We're going to go through the topics. We're going to give you what the coaches had to say about the clinic on their comment sheet. We're going to give you the results and our observations as we've interpreted them in a preliminary manner. And you're going to get all the highlights in the first 5 or 10 minutes. Then we're going to give you the details of what we told the coaches. Our objectives. When we looked at Area P, Western Los Angeles, Wilshire, Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, Culver, Pacific Palisades, we said, what are the characteristics of our people, our volunteers? What are they going to do for our kids? We got the impression that we would get about 75% effort from our coaches. They're going to go out, they've got other things in their mind, Little League, lots of other things, but they're willing to give about 75%. How do we get the most out of that 75%, and how do we get as many people possible doing 75%? So what we wanted to do is increase and improve youth athletics. Athletics means recreation. And we're going to do this by teaching AYSO coaching, which we believe is the best way of teaching soccer. We want to establish a coach reserve list. We want to get as many coaches and assistant coaches interested so that when we have coaches for our kids, we can interview for the job and select the very best, the way we would interview people for a job and they're working for us. We believe that getting many people interested, if we recruit and train the typical teen parent, the person that runs pizza night, there is where the future quality leadership in our program will come. The division commissioners, the regional commissioners, the area directors, the national board of directors. This was our objective. It was not to win section championships. Provide immediate community recreation. The features of the clinic. It promotes AYSO coaching philosophy, and I mean promotes it at the risk of being repetitive to some of the people in the clinic audience. We sold it and we got a little bit criticized for the thing. There were 6 hours of basic instruction, and one of the main features, it included assistant coaches. The assistant coaches were invited and treated with all the dignity and all the interest. They got the free cup of coffee along with the coaches. The instruction was by age division. As much as possible, we tried to single out those areas that said, are you coaching 5, are you coaching Division 6, are you coaching Division 3? That was no problem. Division 3 coaches don't come to clinics. So I'll get into that a little bit later on. Certainly the field work broke the groups up into training by age division. The program consisted of classroom lectures, field exercises, participation by the coaches, films, and visual aids. You'll be seeing all those aids now. We introduced something new, coaching awareness of referee training. How do you tell the coach what the referee is going through to establish that relationship? It's very difficult. We've got a lot of information to cram into these clinics. How can we optimum tell the coach about what the referee is learning so they can get it together in the field? We think we have a nice package there. It's designed for specific areas. Some regions and areas do not need all the detail in here. Others do. The examples we provide will show you how to adjust for your particular region. And of course, the most important thing, you give out a package, and the packet includes the coaching manual, which is about a 60-page document, the rules of soccer simplified, a bumper sticker, AYSO, 1 game card, and of course, a t-shirt, the most important thing. This will be the biggest selling factor to get your coaches to the clinic. It's a t-shirt designed for that particular area. In that particular year, when I get a section coaching patch. If you do it wisely, you will change the clinic design, the t-shirt design every year, the color every year, so they'll come back, get renewed interest and renewed information, and have a new t-shirt every year. The cost of this pack, attending the clinic, was $10 to each coach that went to area. Many times the regions provided the fee. The actual cost of reproducing and buying this thing was $6.35. The difference went into the area war chest for coaching development in the area. What we covered in the clinics, a little bit different. We provided an overview and told the coaches about where they live. We told them about their local soccer community. We then provided a film that very entertainingly went through an overview of the laws of the game and the game overview. The way you'd tell a friend, hey, this friend has never seen a game of soccer. How would you explain to a friend how you play the game? Not with a bunch of rules and regs. You just talk about it. This is what you do. This is the overview we wanted to give to some people who had never seen a game before. Then we gave an overview of AYSO soccer. How does our soccer do? We went into team formation, organization, training, and conditioning. That was a classroom lecture, and then they went outdoors to practice some of the things they learned in the classroom. We then gave our referee overview. We broke for lunch. We had a rap session on what went on in the morning. We then went into parent organization. How do you get the parents out to help you so that you can spend more time coaching the kids? We went to a second film on coaching techniques and practice methods. This was technical. They saw all they had to know to get going. Then we discussed it indoors. Then they went outdoors and they practiced it. They did. They did the way the children would do. And then we had one coach, one member of the staff, who interestingly treated the coaches the way we would treat the children. He wouldn't let them scrimmage until they did all the skill development. If they did it right, and they practiced well, and they behaved themselves, then they would go out and they had a scrimmage game. And they had a ball. They had a blast. Coaches didn't realize they were being treated like the children. They were, but they had a great time. Then, for the officials in the room, we used this clinic as the period for registering them on the AYSO computer system, getting their insurance covered. We registered them, used that same form for information to build the regions, to find out who is coaching in what divisions, what experience they had, and then we had them fill out a comment sheet as to what they thought of the clinic. We got some decent feedback, but there were some problems. I feel right off the bat, there has to be a better way to get in comments from coaches, and at the end of the day, they've had a hard workout, in classrooms. They had a hard work out in the field. They want to get out of there. It's late Sunday afternoon, so they want to sit down and very accurately answer questions and write long essays. I don't think they do. There has to be a better way of getting feedback from them. This is extremely important, but we have gotten something, and we'll be discussing it with you. Let's get right into it. Their comments. This is what they've commented about. You'll be seeing what they commented about. The length of the clinic. Most felt it was just right, 6 hours. A number felt it was too long. Nobody thought it was too short, but a number of people thought it was too long. The clarity of presentations. We asked them to rate the classroom lectures. They were rated very high. We asked them to rate the field sessions. They said it was good, but they felt that there was more coordination needed between the instructors. There was different instructors for different groups. They looked over, they saw some instructors doing something. They felt we had to get it together more there. We do. The presentation material, the visual aids were rated good. The films were good, but they could be better. You're never going to get everyone to agree on the films. The important thing is when you're conducting a clinic, you select the films and you build your program around those films. Talk to a lot of people about what films are the best for your area. The lectures were good, but they felt they were too repetitive in some cases. This was pumping home the AYSO philosophy. They wanted more on player positioning, tactics, and strategy. More step-by-step how-to, which of course, how can you do this in the limited time? And we weren't going to go into tactics and strategy for Division K and Division 6 kids. This was not to be part of the clinic. On the field, they rated the field work good. They wanted more detailed instruction. We couldn't do it in this time. And they enjoyed the scrimmage game. Interestingly, those people that rated the clinic as too long, those are the ones that wanted more detailed instruction. So we have to take that with a grain of salt. We then promoted advanced clinics. We had a Division K and 6 introductory basic clinic given by our most knowledgeable people in our area. Very, very low enrollment, very poor attendance. Then we had Alan Meter, a national director of coaching, give one on coaching tactics and strategy. This was the meat for all the older coaches. Division 4 and above. This is where you were really going to get into it. We really promote the thing. We get about 20 to 30 people out of 20 to 30 people out of a potential 200. It's quite poor. The coaches that attend really got something. The coaches that didn't, they really missed it. But the interest in getting these people to advanced clinics and seminars, very low to moderate. Just can't seem to do it. Well, we'll recognize that and try to improve our work around that. We have to bend with it. Our observations and results of the clinic we gave. We gave 3 clinics that averaged 60 coaches per clinic. The coaches were mostly those that were teaching Divisions K and 6. There was some Division 5 and goodbye above. Division 4 and 3 were not to be seen. Division 2 never existed, obviously. About observations in the game. What have we seen throughout the Area P? Overall improved skills. Divisions K and 6 and 5. Much improved skills on the youngsters. We see closer scores in the game. You don't see the 7-0. You have to be careful. You say, well, maybe you balance your teams better. Maybe, but I don't think that was it. We surveyed the methods of balancing hadn't changed that much over the area in the time we've compiled this data. So we attribute the closer scores to better coaching. It's an area clinic. Coaches all learn the same thing. They talk the same way. There are less out-to-lunch players. Remember that little guy and that little girl who was picking flowers in Division 6 and Division 5? Well, he was at the beginning of the season. But at the end of the season, he was doing something. The coach just didn't stick him off in the right field. He developed him. That is a very, very important thing. The teams. There was a slight to a significant lower division enrollment increase. I know in the Culver, Mar Vista area, they went from 12 to 16 K-League teams, Division 6 teams increased. It depended upon the area, but there was a change in enrollment in the team. The coaches, there's been a good increase in the number of assistant coaches saying, hey, I want a team next year. And they weren't waiting till the end of the season. 3 or 4 weeks into the season, they realized they knew as much as the head coach. They felt they could do a good job. They started saying, I want my kid's team next year. That's what we set out to do. The referees, there hadn't been anything to maybe a slight increase. We haven't seen anything filtering off from the referees of any significance yet. The volunteers in general, team parents, picture days, people, it's too early to tell what's happened. We really haven't concentrated on analyzing the data yet for that. That was of lower importance, we felt right now. We wanted to look at the coaching results right away. And in general, miscellaneous, we found that upper division coaches just won't attend clinics. The closest scores ever in our area playoff games. Now, we don't balance according to area. We balance very well in each region. But when you get into area play, in the past, some regions have been known to be stronger than others. But in the lower divisions, where the coaches came from, they all learned the same thing. I mean, a typical area championship game, or typical games we played off, and it wasn't single elimination. It was 3 rounds. The scores were typically that 1-point differential. It really showed closer games. And the other miscellaneous thing we addressed is the low attendance at the area coaching seminars. We promote it, we get the best of speakers, we get what we think the coaches are interested in, but in our particular area, it just doesn't seem to work. Okay, my plan now is to bomb through the various view graphs that we presented at the clinic. It's not intended to tease you. I'm going to stop at certain points and try to make some comments. I hope they'll be interesting. As I say, we can make this stuff available. What we just want to do is get you the overall feeling of how we saw adapting the general beginning coaches training to our particular community. Okay, the first thing we did was tell everybody who we were. We talked about the national program, section, what it means, areas. We told them, and they didn't know. They told them that Wilshire was playing in an area with Santa Monica, and we let them know. We also let them know that all the adults, everyone in the program, were unpaid volunteers. We had to set them straight that the referees were not paid. Some of them didn't even get any oranges. You see, we did concentrate in some what might be considered trivia, but we believed it to be important for what our community had to be oriented in. We then told them something about ourselves in soccer. For example, in K-League, we told them they played under special rules. It emphasized instruction and not competition. In some of the regions, they don't even have a goalkeeper in K-League. The boys, generally under 12, played regional. They stuck at home, enough teams. And the boys and girls, 13 through 14, and almost all the girls' teams, there's not enough teams in any region, so they play at home. So they play inter-regional competitions throughout the area. And for the oldest boys and girls, we hitch up with another area. This year it was Area D. We hitched up with, and our boys too and girls too, with the Beach Cities community. And we gave them a little bit of overview of who we are. This was very, very important, the next few graphs. We showed them a picture of the soccer field with details no one has ever presented before. We told them where they could stand, where they couldn't stand, and where they put the garbage. This is the most important thing. I don't know how we're all set up, but I know in LA schools, our permits dangle, and we have to treat those fields very carefully, and we wanted to point out where the trash cans were, and we wanted to set the decorum right. The spectators should stay here, not behind the goals, and we wanted to make sure that we kept one assistant coach and one coach per team within the sideline so that you didn't have parents running up and down the side, screaming at their kids. Each wanted to tell them where they could warm up their kids. We wanted to say, this is what a soccer field, hopefully all soccer fields have this facility. They don't, but we'll try to get it close. But we have to remember the trash cans are important. They can't go throwing the orange peels around. That was trivia. Maybe some people didn't like that. We saw it as important.
Could you put that back up for me, Joe?
Sure.
Until I finish.
We're not plugging any particular brand of trash can now.
Oh, that's okay. Yes.
Okay. Then we started rolling. What about the clinic? To teach soccer skills to young children. How do you do that? That's the most important thing. And how do you have help the children have fun? You will learn skills, and they want to have fun. This is the base of the thing. This is the cycle of the coaching process. I'm not going to show it up very long because I want you to read the book. And the book is, every region should have a copy of this. It was provided gratis to the region. It was prepared by the National Coaching Commission, Alan Meter, and it's the AYSO Instructor's Manual. This addresses every detail you'll need to put together your plan. You get it out of the national office. I'll leave that one up, so make sure you get the thing. I didn't even include that in the reference list because I wanted to make it special. If there's anything you could copy down, this should be the thing. The national office has the copies of it. Now, we talked about AYSO soccer. We talked about the fields, soccer balls. We wanted to emphasize that every kid should bring his own ball to practice. If regions have scholarship programs, and there are some poor children in the community, the scholarship programs I recommend is, how do you get somehow a soccer ball, even if it's an old rubber one, into the hands of a kid so he or she can develop with it. We talked about the players, and we showed that in K-League it's okay to put less than 15 players on a team. We recommend 8 to 10 so these little kids can have more playing time, more time to develop their skills, reduce teams. Talked about the substitution rules. Equipment. We had to point out that shin guards and soccer shoes are important, but they're not mandatory. We told them they couldn't order a kid to get them. We talked about the goalkeeper, the jerseys, the different referee systems that the regions used, and we referred to certain details, length of games, referred to certain pages in the manual. Thank you, Coach. What we see, AYSO soccer, in soccer is generally, it's to score goals and win the game. What we see as AYSO soccer is success first and winning secondary. And we define success to be measured with respect to how well the child does things compared to the way he or she used to do it. And not how well he or she does it with respect to other children. And we tag success, the development of that child, is more important than the winning. The won-loss games, the state championships, all that. The development of the child is the important thing. And we try to stress that. That was probably that brought the comment in one of the comment sheets. Too much AYSO BS. I should have gotten on with more soccer skill details. So this is the way we saw it. In the film, we showed the first film, there was a little Division 6 boy, and it showed him, coach was trying to substitute him at the end of the quarter, and his name was Jason, and he was number 5, and the coach says, okay, Jason, you're going in now, and Jason would run onto the field, and he'd trip, and he'd fall, and the coach says, okay, Jason, you want to go this way now, and Jason ran into the goalpost, and he was confused, and the poor little sight there, he just didn't know what was going on, he was going to go out and watch the flowers somewhere. And everybody laughed, but if we balance our teams, we all get these Jasons in our team, and it's just Jason as an example of a name. There were Jennies, and Beckys, and Johnnies, and whatever. And that's what our program is all about. We're providing recreation to these kids. We're helping them to develop, and if they don't develop at the rate we expect them to, we back off. They're going to get something out of the program. They'll turn it around when they're ready, but they have to enjoy what they're doing. We look upon the short-term investment. You win the games and you get the trophies and you put them on the mat. Oh, great. But the long-term investment is the thing that gets the red check, the developing of the children. That's the really beautiful thing. When you see some of these kids who've done nothing in Division 6 and you see what they're doing in high school, maybe it's not soccer, it's basketball, volleyball, track. They just turned it around. I know. When I coached, my children are not the most athletically gifted, but they got a hell of a lot out of the program. They really got a lot. exactly what it was meant to be. And we wanted to start right off the bat and let them know about the philosophy that everyone plays at least half a game, and the balanced teams, and the teams reform every season. Some regions are more hard-nosed about this than others. In the Culver, Mar Vista region, for example, people can assistant coach certain coaches, provided it in no way upsets the balancing of the team. If two guys or two ladies are buddies, they want to get together and coach a team, one coach, the other assistant coach, fine, no problem. But if any one of us could come along and put money on it, which team is going to walk away with the division championship at the end of the season, the friendship comes to an end. They can't coach together. The team balancing is the most important thing. Most of the regions, all of the regions in Area P really stress the reforming aspect. But coaching should, of course, be positive. And the thing that's emphasized is fun, not only at games, but practices. The most successful coaches are not our winningest coaches. It's when the kid's mom, the dad, comes to pick him up after practice and he fights. He doesn't want to get in the car because he wants to stay at practice. This is really important. We have a number of coaches like that. They just don't want to leave the practice session. How can you argue with that? What about our priorities? This is the way we see it. By division. K, 6, and 5 is recreation. The competition is at the other end. Divisions 2 and 1. 4 and 3 at the transition period. We've got some illustrations a little later on to show you how we see it by breaking down by training, conditioning, tactics, strategy, skill. But this is the overall way, the way we see it. I believe we had a slight break here. Then we began on the subject of team formation, organization, training, and conditioning. I'm going to go a little faster through here. In the team formation, we stress the coach's planning, outlining, making practices fun and enjoyable, how to assess, understand, go into motivation, discuss possible positions with players, all the things that makes for good organization, the recruitment of goalkeepers. We went into all of these things. We talked about practices. What about practice sessions there? The first practice sessions, we talked about what they're to do. We referenced the pages in the manual where they could go to more details. Remember, this is only 6 hours? In the routine practice sessions, for fitness, how they warm up, what pages they can refer to, where they go for technique, skill development, tactics, scrimmages. We emphasize this for the older kids. And certainly no more than 15% of the practice time for scrimmaging. This chart, ought to be available, was what we see as the age breakdown of how you allocate your time for training in terms of conditioning, techniques and fundamentals and tactics. As you can see at 5 and 6, the younger kids, almost all of those techniques are fundamentals. As you get to the older kids, it's pretty uniformly distributed. You see the conditioning certainly works up with the older kids. The younger kids don't need all of it. This indicates that at these levels you could start introducing kickoffs, throw-ins, corner kicks, and goal kicks. But the key is fundamental skills for those younger kids. I purposely didn't ask anyone in the audience your positions in the organizations, your background with regard to coaching. I didn't want to bias or orient my presentation any one way towards the age group you're associated with. I'm assuming you're officials associated with the entire region or areas, and as I say, I did not try to slant this in any way. Then we went into the fundamental skills. We introduced them. What are we talking about? What do we mean the fundamental skills? Dribbling, passing, shooting, tackling, so forth. And other fundamentals, the throw-in, all these things have to be addressed. How you do it, where you do it. The AYSO Instructor's Manual, and the books will reference at the end. Everything was included. Player motivation. Remembering that the teams have a wide range of kids. If they're put together properly, full range. The idea, the philosophy, keep the player busy. Keep them occupied. And I apologize if there's any VCs, chief coaches, or regional commissioners in here. We're going to create some problems for you. Because we have stressed at the coach, if they do have any problems, pass them up to management. Don't take the time of the team. Let the officials of the program deal with the kids that become problems, and not to be a babysitter. We went into player motivation techniques. We highlighted various things. We talked about, of course, about the criticizing and setting specific standards and goals for the players and the teams. We went into the typical characteristics of players by age and sex. We talked about the younger kids, the middle-aged kids, since there was nobody coaching the older kids. We didn't hit that part. We talked about a brief overview for the girls and any special needs that the young ladies have in the program. We talked about that first encounter when you meet your team for the first time, how to get going right away, keep them busy right away, do the warm-ups first, make the introductions later, let them know that they've reported for class the first day, they're going to be keeping busy. And what we try to establish that line of positive communication, so when the youngster, respectfully, hopefully, of course, can comment to the parent, my coach says. That's a very important thing. The image that the coach projects, the kid quotes, my coach says. It's a good relationship. That's what we stress to the coach. That's what you want to develop. That's more important than the winning. Then we got into some meat that everybody was looking forward to. What do I do with these kids? And we talked about the key positions, what we do with them, the center midfielder, where we play them, what are the characteristics, what you look for. Of course, we went over this very, very quickly, and we referenced Engel's book and all the references, but we try to cover it all. We talked about team formations, where you play your forwards and how many fullbacks you're going to have. What do you do with your weakest players? Where don't you put those players? And then we gave some tips and some general coaching consideration in terms of what do you do in scrimmages, what do you tell the team before a game, and we try to cover it very comprehensively, but yet when we had to, we referenced it to the text. And with the new coaches, we had some more information in terms of what you do. Basic little things just to expose them. We couldn't give them too much. And we talked about the coach himself, or herself. Then we come to the part of the program, I think we had a slight break, that we're very proud of, because this has not really been tried before with a great deal of care, and we think it will have some very positive benefits later on down the road as to the coaching-referee relationship, for the decorum on the sideline, and how that we just have a real good time out there. The referee. And the way we decided to handle this is to say, look, you, the coach, are trained a certain way. The referee's trained a certain way. But you don't know how that referee is trained. We want to tell you how the referee is trained. You don't have as many hours. You don't have as many courses in the subject. So if there's something you don't understand, assume you're wrong. The referee's right. Find out about it later on, but don't make a scene about the thing. That's the philosophy, and we try to do it all in 20 minutes. And here's the way we did it. We made a presentation of the AYSO referee. We talked about coaches. We reviewed with him how we in the past spent time telling him about the referee. We told him who the referee is. We compared the two, the aspects of referee training, the laws of the game, the easy laws, the coach-referee relationship, and we provided some references. I'm going to go into each one of these now. In the past, typical presenting information to coaches about refereeing. 3 years ago, we did about 2 hours worth. Last year, 1 hour. This year, meaning last year, we gave them 1/3 hour. This is the presentation you're seeing. I don't know what we'll do next year. But the first to second year referee typically receives 8 to 12 hours of training, all about the laws of the game. Right now the coach is down to 20 minutes. So we'll just have to assume the referee knows more. Whether the coach believes that or not, we're just going to assume it. We're going to tell them who the referee is. It's a parent. Kids in the program. No kids in the program. Someone that's been around. The kids are all through. They want to keep coming back. It's some adult within the community. It has nothing to do with the program, like the referee. It's a coach. It's a commissioner. It's a guest referee from another program. We make it very exciting during playoffs. We swap with other areas. We have guest presentations. It's an untrained parent thrown onto the field under the threat of game cancellation. This isn't done very often in Area C, but if the parent is light enough, we'll throw them in the field. They're unpaid volunteers, all of us. You know that, to make sure the coaches know that. And we compare the fringe benefits of the job. Okay, the wages, nobody gets any wages. The coaches get 8 hours of clinics, the referees 12 to 20. There are environmental hazards, none for the coach. There's a risk for the referees. People feed them oranges. I don't think they throw them. There's a lot of stress for the referees.
Disagree with that.
The schedule flexibility. That's an interesting topic. There's much flexibility. We allow the coaches to pick their practice times and locations. The games, they have no flexibility. Well, we say the referee has a lot of flexibility. They just sign up for games when they want to, except for the case when they get down on the field, they find out the other referee hasn't shown up, so they'll do 3, 4, or 5 games, and they're wiped out on a Saturday. And of course, the mileage. If they got reimbursed for mileage, they do pretty well. But they don't. They don't even replace their shoes. This is the time when we take a break for the clinic. I put this view graph up and walk over and get a drink of water. We start talking, we start flickering the lights on the projector and everything, and people start getting bored. And I pull it off and I throw it in other parts of the clinic too. I like this one because it really says to the coaches, this is establishes where our head is at. Okay, the referee can blow a call, and here's the conditions. They blow into any conditions, and here's why the referee can blow that call. And people say, sure, sure. And I'll tell you, it seems to work. We have not had any problems, really. Yeah, we get the isolated things, but we're really hard-nosed about it, really. It's not even debatable. One scene, a parent stood there and says, wait a minute. Started hassling the referee, and someone came up to him and said, hey, why are you doing that? He says, hey, I can criticize the referee. If I can compliment him, I can criticize him. He said, no, it doesn't work that way. You're certainly welcome to compliment him all you want, but you can't criticize him or you're gone. It wasn't even a debatable issue. If you have a hard line about it, it just isn't done. You don't criticize the referee. That's it. So we throw that up about 8 to 10 times during the thing, and that's what we're accused of being repetitive about, but we think it's important enough. We talk about the philosophical aspects of ref training, and here we lifted it from the work that Ken Aston has provided for his many quality lectures and that he's come out and given to our referees there. We've gone over the thing and how the referee interprets things and what his mission is, what his role is in the game. And this was important. We talked about the philosophy and why calls are misunderstood. What does the referee do? I mean, the referee has that flexibility to bend and interpret the laws of the game. The coaches don't know that. The coaches really don't know. They don't know that if the referee doesn't see it, he or she can't call it. They don't know about the intent of the foul. They don't know about participation of the offside. So we stress, there are things you don't know about, coaches. Find out later on, not on the field. And of course we talk about briefly the laws of the game. The essentials are, we show some pretty pictures of the things that parents usually scream about. When they see the ball roll down the touch line, I know some of our fields have touch lines that are grooved out 5 inches there, and the ball is rolling down like a train wheel in the track, and they're screaming, out of bounds, ref, it's rolling right along there, they don't know. And the referee's standing there and watch it rolling down, he's not blowing the whistle there, and they're screaming at him. This is what we have to tell the coach to tell the parents. This is when the ball is out of play. Same thing with the goal. Those are the things that create the most confusion, when it's out of play and when it's a goal. So rather than tell the coaches what happens when the dog runs on the field, eats the ball, how do they start replay, we didn't worry about those details. It didn't happen very often last year. So these are the things we concentrated on. We talked about restarts. So coaches know there is a thing as a drop ball, an indirect kick. We talked about fouls and misconduct, but we didn't get into any great detail. Overview. You're interested in learn about it later on. This is what it's about. Just overview type thing. And of course, very lengthy discussion on the offside law as it was presented by Ken Aston. Just enough to whet some appetite to say, gee, they didn't tell me very much. Great. Go read the laws of the game. You want to be a referee? We'll train you, but don't go upsetting those that we've trained and we respect very highly. At that time, of course, we had just passed the local, the new FIFA law about goalkeeper handling the ball and getting it into play. So we had to introduce a bulletin. That was right off the press. The Viewgraph makers made it up, and we got Eyewitness News Bulletin, and we got that information into them real quickly. And we told them about that relationship. Who the coach is responsible to. He's responsible, or she's responsible for controlling the player's parents. The ref is not obligated for explaining the decisions. The referee's judgment is the one that counts. What happens if you disagree? Assume the ref is correct. Don't even approach him after the game. Talk it over with your commissioner, your coaches. Don't make any scene afterwards. The referee walks off the field. Thank you. As he or she is running to the next game, which most of them usually are. If you don't like it, become a ref and learn the laws of the game. Some of the coaches did, some of them didn't. Then we told them where they could find the referee manual, all the referee information. At that point, there was lunch, a rap session, and I'm going to get moving a little bit more. We talked quickly. We came back and we talked about parent organization. And the thing we stress in parent organization, that the coach owes it to the region. We've made him he or she a power base. We've given them a team. We've launched their careers. Maybe they'll be scouted someday, get a pro team. They owe us something. And what they owe us is to keep AYSO going by getting as many volunteers involved as possible. Quality volunteers. They have to organize. That means sharing the responsibility. A coach should not be planning pizza night. A coach should not be worrying about tickets to the dance. He's got parents that do that. And this is a strong statement, but it's a poor coach or dumb or crazy, one who undertakes everything. Shouldn't. A well-organized, well-informed coach impresses parents and recruits volunteers. That's extremely important. This is what we emphasize. In terms of parent organization, we gave details of subject matter on the pages of the text. We worked the aspect of what do you do with your assistant coaches? How do you bring assistant coaches and monitor the whole thing? What's your role as a head coach? And we showed how you delegate the responsibility, other things to the team parent. If I can assure the NCAA that the following youngsters are not receiving any royalties on this Viewgraph. This is a sample roster from a Santa Monica Division 5 team that the coach made up. Name, uniform, parent, and what the job of the parent is going to do. That's pretty impressive. We're going to have to check back and find out if those people really did those things. That's the feedback we get. But it looks very impressive. That's what you want to do. But in all fairness, I know the coach was a good coach. I'd be very surprised if he didn't get those people to do things. That was the organization. Next, we showed the second film. The second film was one of, got into the technical details of coaching, organizing practice sessions, what you do, what you bring, And it even showed the neat thing of the nutty coach that went up and down the sideline screaming at her little girls. And she ran that sidelines and screamed. I think she crossed her at least 3 or 4 times. She screamed everything. Every coach has to see this. Say, my God, do I look like that? Am I going to look like that? I look like that. I didn't realize what a rotten coach I was until I started coaching and could see myself through other coaches. Did I do that? Wow. You had to show this. This is very important. That's one of the reasons I said selected that film. It really showed how you don't behave. The details of what you do and how you do behave, the film was shown, and then we discussed the film in the classroom, and it was well narrated, and it pointed out the following in the film. It broke it down into knowledge, organization, field and equipment, drills, and enthusiasm. Just so I can leave some time for questions, I want to really move on. And then the knowledge, they talked about the rules, the skills, the tactics. What do you do? And the key is fun to learn through games. You don't have boring drills. You make the drills interesting. Make each drill a game, because kids are out playing games. They want to play games. As far as the tactics are concerned, keep it simple. Just give them a game. Don't let them think of a lot of confusing things, sophisticated war games. They're out after school playing. Let them play. Keep it simple. In organization, be organized. That's a key. Every player should bring a ball to practice. They need it. You get so much more out of it, and we really stress this. Player brings his or her own ball. How to organize? You have to emphasize technique development for players under 13. If they don't have skills or techniques, they can't ever execute the tactics. They have to develop skills, and it has to be done with a ball. And again, we've been repetitive. Bring the ball. Anything like the parks in the western Los Angeles area are all getting in our way. We have to learn to be able to practice in smaller fields. We have a difficult time acquiring them. We want more smaller fields. It means more kids will touch the ball more, and the skills will develop more quickly. Self-explanatory. With regard to the drills, I would really like to see a region come along and base its standings on the amount of time the coach keeps his or her mouth shut during the game. That's it. Somehow they could time it. The lips are closed. First place would go to the team if coach gets his mouth shut during the game. Let them play. For goodness sake, you're not going to go down the park and see a bunch of kids playing, start screaming at them, telling them what to do. You work with them in practice, let them go out and play on Saturday. Every coach does that. Nobody's going to worry about what the win-loss record is. Fitness, those pages of the manual for the older kids. And the drills, make it interesting and use a soccer ball. Even with the little kids, you want it, do a little stretching. Have them pass the ball in through their legs. Use the ball. Do. You don't want to see the coaches, they line the kids up in one row and they feed them the ball. Kid stands there, 14 stand there, do nothing, and one doesn't, he goes to the end of the line. Get them all doing things. Use their own ball. Fundamental. Then they went outside. They had a ball. They learned, they participated, they tackled, they headed, they did everything for a couple of hours outside. It was hot, then they were rewarded, and they had a scrimmage game, and they had a blast. A really good time. They came in, all tired, they had some drinks, and a very terrible thing happened. We were only able to devote one view graph to a very important subject. I'm embarrassed, and I think something really has to be done about it. Why safety is seems to be the lowest priority in our program. It's our children, but it's a 6-hour clinic. Why can't we be more creative and to integrate safety into the training with the coaches so that if a youngster is hurt, we're going to be able to take care of that youngster appropriately. But this is all we could present in safety. I'm not pleased with it. We summarized the clinic, and you see where we emphasize things. See where we put the winning aspect of the thing. We hope we left that impression with the coaches. We think we did. We gave them references, and again, the AYSO instructor's manual is not on here. It's a special reference that required you writing it down. We wanted to emphasize that. AYSO coaching manuals, we believe, is the best. There was a page out of order in the coaching manual. We corrected that. We asked them to put their t-shirt size down, very important. This was the official registration form they filled out. It helped the regions. From an official point of view, the coaches are all registered for insurance procedures. We knew who was coming. This was the comment sheet they had to fill out. These are the comments you saw. It wasn't very complicated. We kept it short, but because it was the end of the day, 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, those folks wanted to get out of there. So we try to lead them with things to say and hope they provided a comment. Some, very great. Some, yes, no, no. Nobody checked out very much for the extra clinics. Example of the way we handled the last two, the example of the way we handled the seminars. These were the announcements, the formality of the announcements that went out for Coaching Division K and 6, very professionally done. All the information, a little abstract of what the talk is going to be like. Lots of K in Division 16, 19 people showed up. For the older kids, this really should have got them out of the woodwork. Boy, an evening with Alan Meter to tactics and strategy. I mean, if you walked in and one fact came out of it, there was your whole evening. Not very many. The clinic was planned very carefully, time breakdowns, well organized. You saw what we gave him. We were very, very honest on where we think we succeeded and where we didn't, what our problems are. And at this point, I'd just like to throw it up.
Could you leave that last one up for just about 30 seconds?
The
agenda.
Agenda, sure. We'd just like to say we appreciate your interest in the program, and we want to emphasize this was done strictly as an exercise in adapting our Area P needs. How do we handle a beginning clinic for Area P? Your needs may be different. The point is, structure modified within the broad guidelines of AYSO, and just pass the word on to your teams and your coaches. And we're going to be keeping up on what happened. We're going to be modifying for next year, and we're going to be reporting these things. And interest, you can reach us through Area P. We're glad to just feedback. That's what it's all about. Yes?
The one view graph implied that you've been doing this for 3 years?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
And you mentioned the effects it's had on various things we read. Can you comment on what effect it had on coach retention?
The best coaches, the ones that really got it together, are no longer coaches. Because they're so good, we made them commissioners. We'd be crazy. Hey, I mean, we'd be crazy. We got a person that's got it all together, and it's the old line. Why help 14 kids when you can help 1,400 kids? They went from coaches to division commissioners, and they're the heart of our program. These people that have such good rapport with one team, the whole region.
Can you tell me what your retention is in the 6 and K division?
Generally, at the 50% level, those K coaches in 6, 50% of them follow their kids up to Division 4. The other thing that's tough to measure is some of those coaches, boys and girls, and they hopscotch between the son and the daughter in various years. So it's tough. But if those people that come in, 50% stay in that, follow those kids up to Division 4.
You ever had trouble with, like, club teams sucking off your...
Yes, love it.
Is there any...
Love it. Tell you why. It makes it easier to balance our teams. If a club team comes along, in most of the regions, the philosophy has been, it's easier to balance because if we don't have enough top quality players to distribute uniformly. What we find is we believe AYSO is addressed for the average kid. If there's the opportunity for that youngster to go out and find excellence, and club provides that excellence, great. The kid should have every opportunity.
Our problem is that the better kids tend to have the better... I mean, the dads of those kids tend to be the better coaches of the coaches, and it pulls off a lot of coaches. We have trouble getting coaches, I guess.
Okay, then what you want to do is you want to go to the people that are good people and say, you're a good person, we will make you a good coach. And if we don't make you a good coach, and you're not a good coach, that's okay as long as you're a good person for the kids. AYSO, we said athletics, we mean recreation. It doesn't matter if they're not the best coaches. The thing is, are they good for the kids? Are they good for our community? That's what we stress. So kids should have the opportunity to find excellence. A lot of kids that go to club come back because while they were stars in AYSO, in club they're not. Yes.
Are you pushing the concept of the area doing the clinics versus the regions doing clinics?
No, I'm certainly not pushing that at all. It just has been that way. The way our geography was set up, because we have to have interregional play, we found that it is very convenient for the commissioners, everybody to have good rapport. And what better way is there to have good rapport to make sure that your referees and your coaches are trained under the same guidelines. Many of the regions go off and have their clinics themselves. They have special goalkeeper clinics. No, this should be adaptable to a region, a section, an area, whatever it takes to get the people volunteering, whatever your region needs. Yes.
Are you familiar with the Regional Skills Program as authored by AYSO National?
Is this under the BEST program?
No. Skill Development Program. Regional Skill Development Program.
No.
Have you had any experience?
Is this the one that Alan Meter is?
You talking about the STAR program?
Yeah, they have a fairly well-established program for all of the skills, the various soccer skills and techniques, and how to objectively evaluate a player's skill to give them something to shoot for, to improve against, and they give them a little patch that you put on the right-hand sleeve of the jersey, and they add stars as you improve in your skill levels.
No, we have not explored that. I was not familiar with it.
I just wanted to ask if you want to do our own regional clinic if some of the things that you have are available to us.
Yes, we did not know how to go about reproducing it. We estimated the reproduction cost of the coaching manual and these view graphs would be on the order of $5, the postage another $5. We didn't know how to handle it. So what we suggest is, if you sign up at the back, we'll square it away with Harry Johnson, and maybe they'll be provided to a region or an area. I don't know the details, but we'll get back on it.
I think one for the region, there was one for a region.
Okay, I don't know how many regions, 20 areas times 6 regions, you're talking maybe about 120 regions that could get rather expensive. I don't know the details, I just wanted to present the information, but I'm sure we'll work something out to get information into
Some that I
that.
would like just quote in the direction to them, and so it would be helpful.
Yes, yes, that's, this would be made available. Okay, I guess if there are no other questions, I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. 213,
Hold on now. Why don't you give me your name and phone number again?
Bernie Clem, Area P Chief Coach, area code 213-390-2586.
2586.
86.
86.
Right.
Thank you
I
for.
better not be called at the office. I'm in enough trouble already.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay. Your name is?
Dennis Christensen.
Hi.
Region 41, Laguna Niguel.
Ah. If there were
program so that they know at least what they're getting themselves into with dealing with youngsters. So if you don't have the basic information, then you should contact the regional commissioner, and they should have it in their folder or manual. The C course is the one that has been reduced originally from a 25-hour course or 20-hour course to a 15-hour course, which is usually a weekend course, Friday night, Saturday all day, and part of Sunday, which is one of the courses that most of the coaches take after they have 3 or 4 years experience. And they get a little bit more serious about coaching, especially the ones that have been in it 2, 3 years, 4 years, and want to go into Division 4, 3, and 2. Because I think that's probably the hardest area to get coaches in, are in the upper divisions. So most of the time, when these are given by the area chief coaches, B-rated coaches, or someone appointed by the National Commission, will come to your area and we'll give you these basic fundamental courses of the C course. Of course, then you have the B course, which I'll give you some information on a flyer, which is the upcoming one in Vandenberg Air Force Base. I was very fortunate to be part of the very first one that AYSO offered 5 years ago, I believe it was, 1975, that's 7 years ago, 8 years ago. That's how long ago it was, and it's been very successfully implemented by Alan Meter and the National Coaches Commission group. And I strongly recommend that to anyone that wants to be a regional chief coach or an area chief coach. It's a week course, and they do have some physical activities and a testing towards the end of the week course. And there's a certain percentage you have to pass in order to get your B badge. Again, once they pass that particular course, you can be an instructional for the C courses and beginning courses. The A course is offered in the future. There's some guidelines being drawn right now by the National Coaches Commission. It'll be in 84, 85 for the real serious individuals that like to stay their coaching endeavors and continue their coaching instructional courses. At this point, I don't have anything else to add to this unless you have some questions. Again, I wanted to skip the first part and have Ellen talk a little bit about that. Yes, sir.
Is there a schedule in Section 1 for the C courses, or is this on a request basis?
On a request basis, they go through the national office. In other words,
is there a certain minimum number that you need to do it
for
the C course? Minimum number of people?
I've never heard of a minimum amount of people that want to take the C course. If there's any interest in it, they may combine it with other areas. I've heard that if there's not enough interest. Now, I'm from Area G. We have 11 regions, and there's no problem getting people to come to the C clinic because we have that large amount of regions. If in your area you have small regions, then maybe you should all combine it and make it a on an area level type C clinic. But they do have regions where everybody just show up, 30 people show up, 20 people show up, and there's someone there that can instruct the C course. But there's no minimum number that I know of.
There is a fee then involved with putting this on?
The fee is not to the instructor. Okay, the fee is involved if you have an instructor come from the national office to conduct the clinic in your area, depending where the area is at, you absorb the cost of room and board, and if there's any travel arrangements to be made, that particular region should absorb the cost. But there is no charge to the instructor itself. And again, you should have your request through the national office, and eventually it comes to Alan Meter, and he'll distribute among the National Coaches Commission members.
Hard on the introduction course, under support materials and cost, you list the instructor's manuals, which we passed out to a lot of beginning coaches, but you also list outline and handouts. What are the outlines and handouts that are coming?
Okay, the outlines and handouts will be finalized, I believe, at the AGM.
The outlines
Just the basic outline? Okay, the basic outline is out already, and that's what I was referring to. All the regional commissions should have that. I misunderstood your question.
I don't
But
know.
the manual that they're working on will be out.
Strike. Everybody knows this white beach strike. When you got this, right, when we made the original mailing out last year to all the regional commissioners, in there was an outline of the, well, not, it's a separate sheet, but it came inside with it. It was an outline of the 6-hour course. In other words, which topics were taught, how much time, and what paragraph headings out of this you would use for a 6-hour course. If you don't have one of those, give Beth a call. And Beth is the director of, or coordinator of coaching in Marine. Say you want a 6-hour outline or a C outline, and she'll drop them in the mail to you.
What's your phone number?
What's her name?
Beth. All right. Guyane. It's Gaien and Beth. Beth. All right.
Number or something like that?
Yeah, it's 800-262-4234. Charges for it. Ask her for the outline. And what you can do then is the outlines have the, in other words, say it's coaching philosophy. It'll have that. It'll have how much time you spend on it in minutes. And then it'll tell you what paragraph headings to use for your beginning or your C. And that way you can take your felt tip pen, go through your instructor's manual, highlight the ones that you need, and you can use this right as a set of notes to teach out of. That was what the intent was.
And the handouts will be available some other time.
Yeah, well, okay, while you brought it up, I'll talk about the handout. The number again, 800-262-4234.
He has to call from Santa Barbara all the time. He doesn't know the local.
No, I'm afraid. Yeah, I ran my bill up. Now, the handouts are the latest project that the Coaching Commission has done. One of the things that you guys, collectively, all kinds of regional coaches said, I go and I give a course, and the problem is that some participants take really great notes, and they come away, they've really gotten some stuff. But most, because they didn't bring a pen or pencil, or because they just aren't good note takers, don't take good notes, and they walk away with just what they've got in their head, which they forget soon. So what we did is we took the information that's in this manual, wrote it up for beginning coaches, and Art will tell you about some of the hassles we've had trying to bring the language down, right, so that the handout can stand on its own. Now, right now we have about 20 different topics that come out of this manual, but it's the cream off the top, the very simple and beginning stuff. And the idea is that suppose you want to do it, one of your topics that you're working on is the coaching cycle, in other words, coaching methodology. Well, as you're going through your notes on that and teaching it, they have a handout and they can follow the outline more or less with you, but in terminology they can understand. All right? This thing is designed for people that have coached for a while. They know the terminology, right? So that they can follow, and we don't have to explain what an offside trap is in here, because hopefully you know already if you're instructing courses. Here we would have to explain what it is, right? It's not some wire contraption that catches people, right? It's a tactic. Right? So you can use the handouts either to go so they can go along with you and follow where you are in the book, or suppose you don't get the first aid in your 6-hour course. You can give them a handout on first aid, so at least they've got something to compensate for the areas that you didn't have the time to cover. Now, we have been thrashing on these things and writing them since September. They are now complete as far as the content, the written material. We've had some bloody battles about what goes in and what doesn't. The next step is to get them and get them graphically so they look nice, get the diagrams so they look nice. If you're doing an instep kick handout, for example, we should have a picture of what an instep kick looks like so that they can take it home and say, ah, this is what an instep kick looks like, or an inside of the foot pass, or whatever it is. We will have some of those handouts ready for you to look at the AGM in LA. All right, at the AGM in LA. And we will have at least some of them ready to go by your sessions for August, your coaching clinics. And what those will do, we will send, like we did with this, we will send a copy of all a complete set to the regional commissioner. Now you can take those, and we will make sure they're in some set that you can either take a Xerox, or if you've got a line on a local printer, you can say, here, will you help us defray the costs of these, right? You can put your little, Joe's Printing at the bottom, or Straw Hat, or anybody that you can get to help you support them. Other than that, we're also in the negotiations with Puma and other people to help underwrite mass printings of them So you can say, I want 50 on shooting, I want 50 on hitting, I want 50 on trapping, I want 50 on passing. And you can order them directly from us at a cent or two a page and have them as part of your program. So that's what the handouts are. And one way or the other, we will have them ready, some of them at any rate, ready to go for your clinics that you're going to start doing in August. Hope there was an answer in all there somewhere.
Great.
Let's talk a second about, before I get down here, take over, see. And that is the sequence of a C course. Because a lot of you are, how many are brand new regional coaches? Couple, okay. The sequence of a C. There is a piece called a C request form. And you can give Beth a call at the end and number, say, I want a C request form, if you want to do a C course. Now, it doesn't require that you have a certified coach in your region. If you don't have one, Art and I will track one down for you. As I said, the only cost is that if he's coming from distance, like if you're clear out in the, Mojave or somewhere, then we would like for you to pick up his care and watering and feeding while he's there and his travel, so it doesn't have to come out of his pocket. Right? Or Nebraska, as he went to. Right? Nebraska, there's this much snow on the ground, right? Right? He's all right, almost frozen. But if you need, of course, you do not have a B certified instructor, right? We will track one down for you. As I said, there is no fee, there is no charge for his payment, because AYSO is very definite that you don't pay instructors. Okay? Now, in some cases, when we can't find somebody, and there's somebody outside the organization that's qualified and certified, then we'll send them in the region if they choose, and pay him if they want it. All right, that's possible. Usually, we will find you an instructor, especially in Southern California. There's enough B coaches around that we can find one for you that you aren't going to have to pay him. So you fill out the form, put down the dates, the location, whether you need an instructor, or you have one. And if you have one, what his name is, so we make sure he's certified. Order your patches, order your certificates, order any other things, and eventually you'll be the handouts included. Right? What their real goal is, and that is to provide materials for you people. And so, any criticisms you have in regard to cost or timing or whatever, fine, go ahead and have at it. You're not going to hurt my feelings, whatever. Right? On it. Whether it is indeed going to be available this fall, I don't know. But one of the reasons, and Art can tell you from the coaching commission meeting, is one of the reasons that we're pushing with these handouts is for the beginning coaches, because I don't know if Beth is going to be here in the fall. I unfortunately got set up for the thing. I went around to every section meeting and every mini AGM in the country last year, saying Beth is going to be great, it's going to be here in the fall, get cranked up, save up your dollars, right? Because it's coming. And now I'm doing the second thing this year, right? And everybody's saying to me, you said last year at the section meeting, where, this thing's going to be here and it's going to be great. Where is it? So fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, whatever. I'm not going to say that it's going to be ready this fall. So that's why we're pushing ahead with the handout, which will help you at the local level. And even if you can only give a 1-hour course, at least you can give them handouts so they've got something to take back and work on. Does that?
Included in those handouts is some sort of part of your the first aid practices concept and best as far as the introduction course is concerned. Included in those handouts is there any training for the new coach as to rules and regulations, the 17
laws.
17 laws, yeah.
Yeah.
And how to impart that to the kids.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so that
here
he can
again,
learn also,
this is a very, that's a real problem, because what we're trying to do is we set a 500-word limit on each handout, on each topic. Now, to try and do 17 laws in 500 words is impossible, and how to teach the laws. So what we've done is we've condensed them, right, and have it so it's on two sides. And the reason we went to 500 words is we knew that over 500 words, people would look at it and say, oh, they'll throw it away if it's too much. And what you're asking for, what the laws are and how to teach them, is something that you're probably going to have to cover in a course. We can condense the laws, and the little rules of soccer simplified is about the best one. We even cut down from that a bit and put it on two sides of one page right now is what it looks like it's going to be. But what you're asking for in a handout on how to teach the laws, that's the problem. Now, Best does that. Best shows a coach taking his team to the sideline with a line and saying, now, in and out of bounds. The ball has to be all the way over the line. Is this out? In? You know, putting the ball on the line. Is this in? Yes. Is this in? Yes. Is this in? No. And that's what Best actually shows, right? So this is, you know, it shows a kid falling down. Is that a foul? No. Is this a foul? That kind of thing. That's what Best does. But to condense that into the handouts is a really tall proposition. Really
That's what you've done, as far as the introduction course is concerned.
The introduction course, we have not on the laws. In other words, not how to teach the laws to kids. We've given you the condensation of laws, like rules of soccer simplified.
Okay.
If you work on that one, and I will be glad if you can. You apparently know exactly what you want.
I'm attempting to develop it for my region.
Wonderful, great. When you get anywhere along with it at all, send me a copy, and I will include that. You know, if we can, we'll drop it in, because the handouts have been developed by about 6 or 8 different people. And now what's going to happen is there's a couple of us are going to get together one weekend and do a binge of rewriting them so it sounds like one person has written all of them. So that will not be a problem. But if you've got something, how to teach the laws to kids, and we can include it in the handouts, great. I love it, because that is a need. But up to this point, the most that I had attempted at this stage was just a condensation of the law. But if you've got something, how to teach them, we'll take it. Yeah.
I have a question. Is the intent of the BEST program, when and if it does come out, to take the place of the introductory program?
Absolutely not. It's to get those people who you can't get to a beginning course, or in a region where they just don't have anybody to instruct. And there are regions with 600 kids where nobody in that region has ever seen a soccer game, right, before they started playing. Or those people who you're having a problem recruiting, right? They say, well, I don't know anything about soccer. And you know that you say, here's a book, right? Now it makes it harder for them. Here, all you have to do is follow this. That was what the intent of the BEST was. As I said, for Southern California, where you've got, the coaching is as developed as it is, and there's so many courses and that kind of thing around, you don't have the problems that they do out in the sticks. They've got people that, don't know where a soccer ball was, but walked up and bit them in the butt. And they need that kind of thing.
Seems like you have a very small audience you're on.
Now, well, considering that in AYSO, we've got a turnover rate of between 30 and 25% a year. Any given year, a third of our coaches are brand new. And we've got, 17,000 coaches, something like that. So now you're talking about 5,000 coaches that fall into that category. Now, of those, my guess now, well, let's see, this would be a hard one to guess. I would guess that at least half of those, when they start coaching, haven't been to some kind of coaching clinic. So we're talking about each year 2,500 coaches. Just rough numbers. And see, the problem is that those are the people that need the most help.
Yeah, but most of those would have access to an introductory course.
Not necessarily. There are some regions in Southern California that do no coaching courses.
In Southern California?
In Southern California, that do no coaching program. Yeah. Most do. But I know, even in the area I'm in, I know 2 of the 4 regions from my area do no coach instruction.
Well, what would you recommend that, especially in Southern California, that a region who is currently not doing a camp for beginning coaches, that they bring in the BEST program, or that I understand you say that since you have access to the introductory program, you know the introductory program.
Because of the cost, what I would rather see them do is start a beginning program, a coaching instruction program. Because, see, BEST does not allow for this interchange between coaches, right? In other words, you've got a problem. I can give you a book, but it may not answer your problem. As good as it may be written and whatever, it may not answer your question. Your question can only be answered by somebody else in a coaching thing. And the other thing is you bring a bunch of beginning coaches together that don't know anything, and they'll support each other. There's other people, well, they don't know anything either. I'm not so bad, right? I can beat these guys. They're real dummies, right? But if they're handing out individual books, then they don't get that. They're still isolated. We want to bring them in. And they can read what the AYSO philosophy is in the BEST book. But to hear somebody talk about AYSO philosophy and where it really comes down to what it means in a beginning coaching course, that's a different thing. So, yeah, my recommendation is to get as many people in the beginning coaching course as you can. Yeah.
Of these 1/3 of the new coaches, novices that come into almost every one of our programs every year, I'm trying to institute C certification for everyone that comes in.
Great. And there are some
Now,
regions that do that.
Is that workable? Can we take novices and, we're going to schedule 2 different weekends so that they can't have an excuse, my
Right.
son's bar mitzvah or a wedding or I'm on vacation. We'll do it 2 spaced weekends, maybe 2 weeks apart, with 2 weeks in
Sure.
between so that we can pick up 95% of all the
Yeah.
people.
Now, the C, if you'll notice on the blue sheet, the C is in a lot of ways the most flexible. And really on this where it says level, it could be beginning to intermediate to second year. Because the C was originally designed as to be the introductory course that we had. And originally it was 25 hours. And the truth of the matter was, you cannot get a beginning coach who's just doing it for the first time, just so his kid can play, to go to 25 hours, in most cases. But there are some regions now that require the C before you can coach. And they pull it off. They say, I'm sorry, you don't have a C, you can't coach. Well, where can I get it, right? And they've got this psychological thing going, right? And they pull it off. And if you can do it, that's fine. The other thing about the C is it is very flexible because of the instructor's manual. You do not teach a C to beginners the same way you teach a C to people who've coached for 2 or 3 years. And with this, you can play with the level in it to match up with the group you've got. When I go to Springerville, Arizona, right, one of these places where they've never seen a soccer game before, the C I give there is not the same C I give here in Section 1. Not the same at all. But you can do that. You can make it a beginning course.
The new C course you say is 15 hours now?
Well, new is now 2 years.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Because I went through the 25-hour one, and I
Yeah.
thought it was still 25. So
Yeah.
that's what we've been telling everybody.
Yeah, no, it is, no. Get the outline, and it will, the C outline will tell you exactly how much time for each topic. I wish I had those, had them with me.
Well, I'll get it from Beth.
Sure.
1-800-262-4234.
You got it. Okay. Question back in the chief seat? Councilman, okay. All right, but that's the nuts and bolts of what we're trying to put together for you. All right, and that's a little bit about the history of the BEST program. Yeah.
How about the regional skills program? How does it fit into this whole coaching
The
and
skills
instruction?
development program.
Skills development program.
Okay. The skills development program, as it's currently formulated, is used by probably less than 20% of the regions around the country.
Why?
That's the next part. And that was what I wanted to find out. And as I've done, basically I've been to every section in the last 2 years around the country, in every area, mini AGM. And the consensus is this. 1, it is cumbersome from the administrative standpoint. It takes a lot of equipment, it takes a lot of man hours, and a lot of personnel to do it, especially for a whole region. The other thing, and particularly in the Midwest, they have a philosophical problem, and that is you get a gold, silver, or something batch, right, or you get a patch, something, and it's got stars, depending on how well you do. Well, it doesn't bother people that you're a bronze, or you're a gold, and you're a silver, and you're a bronze. I mean, so they can live with that, right? On a one-shot deal. But if you've got to come to practice every day with your little bronze thing, and you've got to see him with his warm-up with his gold thing on it, then they have a problem with that. They say, why tell this kid that he's no good? And reinforce it every time he goes to practice. So what they do is in some cases, they do the skills, right, and they just give one patch to everybody, right, and say, yeah, you got certain level, you got certain level, you got certain level, and the kid knows it. But now he doesn't have to worry about that. Those are the 2 big problems we've got with it right now. Now, a couple things we're working on. One is I've got a project underway, and to streamline the thing. And I'm very fortunate in that my business is soccer camps. And so consequently, I've got about 5,000 guinea pigs every summer. And over in Arizona last year, the camp that I do over there, I ran about 700 kids through a skills program, a circuit that we set up. With the idea being is make it as easy as possible to set up as we can. And we're still playing with it. And when we get that thing done, then I'm going to give it to some coaches and let them play with it and see how we can make it easier. And limited space, limited materials that you need so that it can be easily administered, and then go from there on. But those seem to be the biggest problems we've got with it right now.
How do you feel about the people from the Midwest who feel that the STARS are disincentive in terms of the regional skills development program?
Well, I think that what we do is we provide materials so you can go either way on it. If you want to do the STARS thing and you want bronze, silver, and gold, fine. Right? I mean, you know, you can say life is like that. We're not all geniuses and we're not all Bo Derricks. I mean, you know, if you've got, you know, if your region and you've got philosophical problems with that kind of thing, then we'll have a patch available that you can give all the participants, skills program participants. That seems to be the way out on it for me.
There
I,
is a
as
badge
National Director
now.
of Coaching, don't want to say, you've got to have this patch and you've got to have gold, so I don't want to get into that hassle. I'm going to tell some region that they've got to do it that way particularly. Did that answer the question on the skills? It's something that we're going to look at, and if somebody's really got a burr under their saddle about it and would like to do some work on it, I'll give you the copy of the one that I'm playing with now, and you can play with it too. But there's got to be some way of doing it that's easy and doesn't require a lot of equipment, and you can get, you know, make it fun. What we're working on basically now is a maze that they go through, and they have to use different skills, and it's a timed event. It takes about a minute to get through the maze. And they get points plus and minus for, or seconds added and subtracted on how they do things. So the scoring is really a part of it.
That was the question you asked me yesterday, and I'm glad you asked it.
So that's where we stand on it. You know, there are some regions that actively do it. Every kid goes through it at the beginning of the season, every kid goes through it at the end, and they measure that way. It's very important, and they use it then for their balancing the next year. But I said, less than 20% of the regions use it right now, which just tells you something.
Is it valuable for balancing?
Some regions think so.
Do
Others will say that no, well, you've got to see the kids play to do the event.
But some say that it's good, but you need to augment it with extra things. Do any of them say that it's not, that it's no good?
No.
That it shouldn't be used?
No. Nobody's flat out rejected it that way, because it does measure certain skills. Yeah.
This is my first meeting. I'm not familiar with this program. Could you just, is it a formal program?
There are
Could
about
you just-
6 different skills. For example, head juggling, right, foot juggling, dribbling through cones, a distance kick like a punt, pass, and kick punt, right? You subtract the distance from the thing.
I have the form on my folder here. I'll be happy to show him at the end of the meeting.
Okay, I'm going to show him what it is. But it's 6 different skills that you test. I can't remember.
Who's promoting this?
Well, we have the materials in AYSO. You can get them from the purchasing department.
AYSO National.
AYSO National. We have the patches and the whole
Are you
stuff.
promoting this as something everybody should do?
No, because at this stage it's obvious that the thing has got some needs in it. You know, what I would do say is investigate it, ask, write to Carol and say, can you send me a sample of all the materials involved with the skill development program? Your regional commissioner also has in his commissioner's manual all the materials. And take a look at it and see if there's some elements in that thing that you would like to play with, right? And do like the day, the weekend before the season starts, a skills day. Bring everybody in and test them, and make a fun thing out of it. A lot of regions do that. Or like a mid-season break weekend, and have a picnic in conjunction with it or something like that. Some regions do that. But I'm not going to say you got to go out and do it or that kind of thing. Some regions have a great time with it. Other regions won't touch it with a 10-foot pole because of the administrative problem. If you've got a bunch of eager volunteers that you can mass together to do this thing and run the kids through it, and it can be well organized, then it can be a great thing. It's like the politician. You ask him about drinking, right? He says, if you're talking about, that that, you know, the quiet, you know, beer, drink at the end of the day that, you know, relaxes and that kind of thing, and you know, it's a very nice kind of thing, I'm for that. But if you're talking about demon rum that divides homes and causes unemployment, I'm against that. So maybe that's the kind of answer I gave you, but the jury is way out on the skills development. Some people swear by it, other people, you know, have tried it, chuck it. So, but me, you know, I think there is something, some measurement process is nice to have, right? But I don't know whether that's the one. The other thing, the other kind of this, half of this coin, and another project that we're working on now, is to develop a syllabus, or a timetable, I think is the best thing, of kids and their ages, and at what age should you teach which skills, and in which sequence should you teach the skills. Now, the real problem with that is that a 10-year-old, the variance in ability, physically, mentally, coordination of 10-year-olds is, you know, is great. You've got guys that are just total klutzes, and kids that can basically, you know, I know kids 10 years old that can juggle 100 touches without the ball touching the ground. So that thing is fraught with danger, and I'm not sure if we're really going to be able to pull it off, but we're going to try. But I mean, the philosophical and the educational wars that are going on within the commission, for example, which do you teach first? A push pass or an instep pass? And I'll tell you, it's divided. I can show you experts from here that say instep pass, because that's the most natural motion, and if you take a 6-year-old, he can't hit a push pass far enough to do any good anyway. Other people say, well, you got to start with the biggest surface, which is the inside of the foot. They can do that better. And you go back and forth. The only thing we're agreed on is the K division shouldn't work on scissor kicks. We're agreed on that. Hold up on that for 5th division. Slide tackles. Let me say slide tackles. There's another. Where do you teach slide tackles? If you're playing in Detroit and it's wet and rainy, slide tackles are very useful, very nice things. If you're playing out at Art's place, right, where you usually have a field in search of a blade of grass and bottles and dead chickens, and that kind of stuff, right? I mean, sliding tackles, I mean, any slide, you come out with about 5 layers of skin missing, right? It's worse than AstroTurf.
We don't do that in our region anymore because of that safety hazard.
Slide tackle? Yeah. You actually made a regional rule against it?
I don't recommend it to any of the coaches that come to the clinics.
Yeah. So again, we've got such diversity in kids and in areas that it's going to be a difficult process. But we think that maybe, say, as a Division 5 coach, we at least can say they should be able to do these kinds, or at least try to do these kinds of things. These kinds of skills, these kinds of tactics.
Did you base that on the field conditions alone?
Yeah, just in our region. See, that's our own policy or guideline because we just don't have very good fields. Some of our...
It wasn't a safety aspect, but strictly on the field conditions?
I wouldn't recommend it. It's just like in some regions in Area G, some regions recommend girls to wear shin guards. Our region does not require girls to wear shin guards. But I believe it's rolling height or hacienda height require all the girls to wear shin guards. It's just something that each region has their guideline for policy.
Yeah, boys don't have to wear shin guards, but girls
recommended. Yeah, it's recommended. Some areas.
You said the girls don't have to, and the boys, which one?
No, girls. I'm only talking about girls only. In Region 65, girls are only recommended to have shin guards.
But the boys do have to wear them?
Oh, no. We're not talking about boys, just girls, because I had a girls team that 1 year, and I played in rolling heights. The referee wouldn't allow my team to play because they didn't have shin guards. And I told them, look, in our region, we don't have to have shin guards. And it was quite controversial because we traveled all the way over there to play, and they wouldn't let us play. And so you'll find that.
Touch that one with a 10-foot pole. Girls have to wear shin guards, but boys don't. Okay. Same question, huh? The interesting thing is that regions, and one of the beauties of AYSO is that regions they can set up rules for their own, that fit their own requirements. And you get some very novel, but some very good ideas. The regions in Tucson, Arizona, for example, have a rule when the referee blows his whistle for an injury, I forget whether it's 2 blows or 3 or whatever it is, every kid on the field sits down right where they are. That way you don't have to mass around the kid, right, who gets hit. You go, oh, So you got here, right? That kind of stuff going on, right? Right? Yeah. And when you restart the game, everybody's where they should be. You can get the two closest kids and drop the ball, and you go. Neat idea. Works great for them. And that's, that's the beauty of it, that they, this is something that they work out that works neat for them. And, if you've got fields like arts, then, you can do that.
I have another example. 2 years ago, I have a Division I boys team, and we had one girl in Region 65 that wanted to play Division I girl on the team because we had no girls team, and she was allowed to play on my Division I boys team. But when I went to play other regions, boy, that referee just got all over my case for having a girl on my boys team. And I told him my salary region allows it, and I think it's also an AYSO policy that you can have a co-ed team if there are no division in that particular age group in that division. But I had troubles traveling to different areas to play that girl on the team. So you'll find all of those problems during your career.
Was this designed to be a total 1-hour question and answer session, or are we interrupting your presentation?
No. Or you want to
No, this was all, I asked him to help me because mine lasted only 30 minutes yesterday. And you get a lot of more information from Alan because of the BEST program. And
so if you want to go anywhere with it, this is mine. Coaching things or whatever. Let me, a couple things that are really, I think, that seem to spring up. We're working on another project is our top 10, right, questions. The first one, I think, that most coaches give you, right, especially at the lower levels, is bunching. Right? How do I keep them from bunching? I'll go over a quick one for you on that. If you tell a kid that's a 6th division kid, right, a 6 or 7-year-old kid or 8-year-old kid, I want you to go play left fullback. That doesn't mean anything to them. All right, that name, or even the space on the field, unless you say you make an X, right, on the field. You can do that. Right? But you need to give them something in terms that they can understand. And Max Van Riet, who was the Section 2 coach up in Northern California, developed this, what he calls debunching scheme. So what he does is he let his team play his 7 against 7 scrimmage. And then he lets them go, and he sees the kids that, there's kids that are really aggressive and kids that tend to hang back. Well, some of the kids that tend to hang back, what he'll do is while they're playing, he'll go out and he'll grab a kid. He'll say, okay, see the bunch over there? You come here, you play 10 yards behind the bunch. Wherever the bunch is, you stay 10 yards behind it. Then he gets a kid and he says, come on over here. See the bunch? You play 10 yards left of the bunch. Doesn't know on the right of the bunch, up ahead of the bunch. Then he starts to spread them off. He's got 2 in the front, 1 on the left, 1 on the right, and 2 in the back. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now he's got 4 chasers, right, that are chasing the ball wherever they want to go. And these are the ones that are really the go-getters. Now, the point is that sure, they'll lose track of where they're going. And you have to constantly get in and debunch, right? But kids, little kids, for some reason, tend to understand that better than they do go play left halfback, go play right halfback, go play that. And the thing about it is that it's fluid. Where the bunch moves, then they move with it, and they surround the ball, which is good tactics, right? Instead of rooting them like the Three Stooge defense right on the edge of the penalty box, right? Right?
Oh, that's called defending the fort.
Defending the fort, right? Cavalry.
In his last effort, when he sees that fullback or forward coming at him, is
yeah, right. And what this does then is leads the kids very naturally into a more dynamic situation where they move with the flow. If the ball's clear up at the other end, then the fullbacks push up. If the ball comes back, they drop back. It leads into formation play and interchange of positions more naturally than it does by just putting in robots, right? In rows or whatever. That doesn't mean, as soon as the game's on, they're going to forget and they're going to go, right, in the bunch. But if you're careful, you pick the really timid little ones who really don't want to be in there where the feet are flying and everything else, and you make them play to the outside, and they'll hang out there better for you. Unless your aggressive ones go in there and fight and die for the ball in the midfield. Right? But that's a suggestion. Number 2, right? The question of how do I coach with stronger players and weaker players on the same team? Some heads are nodding, right? That's always a problem. Here's a suggestion. When you're teaching a new skill, say it's chest crack, you divide them up, strong player with weak player. Give your demonstration and let your stronger players do the demonstration. That'll give them, they'll feel good about that. Especially your beginning coaches that you're giving your clinics on don't feel very strong about demonstrating skills themselves. So you get your better players and have them demonstrate. And then you pair off strong with weak. And let the stronger player actually do some coaching. No, you guys, the ball hits, right? You've got to bend your knees. Or you've got to bend back a little bit. You've got to get your arms out for balance, whatever the coaching points are. And you go over those in your demonstration. Notice how Johnny bends his knees, how he leans back, and his arms are out here for balance. You point those out, right? Have pairs, and they work in pairs. Now, as soon as Nerdy, right, who's finally, you know, at least it's hitting him in the chest, right, instead of hitting him in the face or whatever. As soon as he's got the basic idea, then you take your weaker players, pull them off, and have them practice together now, because they at least can basically do it. You take your better players over here and you say, okay, I'm going to toss the ball to you. I know you can chest trap it instead of just trapping it. Now you've got to take it as it comes in, you've got to take it, you've got to turn with it. You guys are going to work on turning. Or you're going to chest trap it, but she's going to be right behind you, nudging you, so you've got to bring it down under pressure now. So you're working at both levels. The other thing about it is the dynamics of the everybody plays half a game. And you coach Little League. Little League finally, right, has come to rules where everybody has to play. What is it, 1 at-bat in 2 innings? It's something like that.
Right.
1 at-bat and 1
And 6 consecutive outs.
6 consecutive outs.
Which means 2 innings.
2 innings, okay. Right? And 1 at-bat?
Right.
Okay. Which means that in all intents and reality, if you park him out in right field, right, that the kid still can be on the team, and his participation can most likely not affect the outcome of the game. When a kid plays half a game, his participation really influences the outcome of the game. Now, the coaches that have really got their act together, right, know that they don't improve their team's play by improving the better players. They improve it by bringing their better players, in effect, de-Turkifying their turkeys. Because it isn't that they're going to play great, they just aren't going to hurt you as bad. Right? The ball comes in the penalty area and they don't go like this and give up the penalty. Right? They don't hurt you as bad. So what you need to do is, the coaches have to get the psychological thing right. Yes, Nerdly is our turkey. Okay, he's a turkey, but he's our turkey. And if he's going to play, if our team is going to play well, then we got to de-Turkify him. And so you put the, don't say that to your team for God's sake.
You don't know my coaches.
Yeah. See, the problem is kids take things literally, right? Like this thing I mentioned, putting the X on the field, right? I had a friend, right? And he had a left fullback that always wandered up at right wing and all over. Little 6th division. So he made the X on the field and he takes the guy and says, this is your X. He says, now you start from here. When the dribbler comes, you come and you tackle the ball, right, and pass it to one of your teammates and get back to your X. When they hit the long ball down, you get the ball, trap it, and pass it to one of your halfbacks, and then get back to your X. You got it? Okay, yeah, got it. Right? So the game starts, right? This guy dribbles, get him. The kid goes and tackles the ball and passes it, get back to your X. The kid runs back to his X. The long ball comes, right? He chases it, he says, pass it, passes it, get back to your X. He runs back to his X. Great, everything's fine. Halftime, whistle blows, the team comes over for halftime and pats him on it. He says, you did great, you got back to your X, I'm really proud of you now. The second half's coming up, and I want you guys to do exactly the same thing. Right? Teams change ends, the kid runs back to his X. Right? So please, that's one of the things about it. The kids take you very literally. Right? So you don't call these guys, beginners is a good euphemism, right? Oh, he's just a beginner. Right? But the point is that if you can get your stronger players to work with your weaker players, sure, he's a turkey, but he's our turkey, right? Or there are turkeys, right? And we need to work and build them up. Then you can get this thing going, this tightness between the team. That, yeah, okay, he's not as good a player, but we're going to help him, and we're going to build him up. You can get this exchange going. And instead of one coach on the team, now you've got 6 or 7 coaches. And your coaching goes up. The amount of actual coaching is going up. And you can run around and be a supervisor, right? And help the stronger players teach the weaker ones. So that the AYSO thing is beautiful in the dynamics of it. Because they're important now. They aren't somebody you just ridicule and, you know, have fun at their expense, because the guy is important to your team. Right? So part of the time you put your parent, part of the time you split them up. Okay? But those teams, those are the two biggies. All right? As far as our top 10. Okay? Throw those in. Any other ones?
I have a question. Is there any national policy regarding the concept that everyone plays at least half a game? But in some cases, we have teams where a child is only marginally motivated for whatever reason and never shows up to practices during the weeks, but shows up faithfully in a nice, bright, shiny uniform for the games. And, you know, sometimes that's the team's turkey as well. And he doesn't get the advantage of the work on the basic skills or strategies that are worked on that week in practice and advancing the other kids along. And the other kids kind of feel cheated that this other kid comes in and instead of, you know, working on the throw-in play that you got set up,
Yes,
he botches the
of course.
whole thing up and so on. And I've heard some people say that if children don't show up for practice, that you don't have to play them for half a game. And I personally did not do that. I played everybody a half a game no matter, you know, when. But is that true or not true?
See, the problem is that you don't have a kid problem. You got
It's a parent problem.
Yeah,
Sure.
But it oftentimes it varies, you know, because I've had situations where the parent emphatically wanted the child there at practice,